a lot of really, really big plays. Every single one of them does. And I'd probably say they're a huge key to the explosiveness in their offense.
Do you feel like they use their inside weapons more than most teams, especially given how strong they are?
I feel like they really use everybody a lot, so I can't really I can't really pick apart like which ones are get more. Isaiah. Yeah, I mean we're in their home state, so I don't know how it wouldn't. So yeah. I kind of like it. It's like us against the world. It's kind of how it's been all year. Nobody really wanted us to make it here, I don't think, just from all the talk. But yeah, I personally enjoy it. Just everybody against us. I've always wanted to play LSU, just being here one time, or being here throughout my years. But I think it's cool. Like, it's kind of funny. You know, same mascot, same stadium name, everything. I can rush the passer. I can play man coverage, zone coverage. I think that's really everything. But I mean, fit the run. Yeah, I have. I've spied it in a couple game plans. Yeah. If you ask me, I think I can do everything, but that might not be true. It might not be true, but mentally, that's just how I think. So yeah. Wow, I've got this question a lot today. Okay. His ability to scramble, his accuracy on the run, his poise in the pocket, and just his ability to extend plays, his decision making. He's just a really, really smart guy with a great athletic ability. And when you get that, you get a great quarterback or a great athlete, whatever term you want to.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're, of course, if you're just joining us live here in New Orleans with your National Championship Game Media Day. Right now it's the Clemson Tigers, 10 a.m. Central Time. Here I am. You can see, of course, all of Media Day, but 10 a.m. Central Time, that's 11 a.m. Eastern. The LSU Tigers will take the stage. Right now it is the Clemson Tigers' turn. Let's take a little walk through Media Day, see if we can go find a couple head coaches. There's Kirk Herbstreit, who's going to be on the call there for the game. And right around this corner, we're going to talk to, hopefully, Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney is a popular guy right now. So we're going to try and go set up, see if we can fit in. Give us just a second to set up, and then we're going to listen in to the Clemson head coach ahead of course, this national championship matchup.
No, because at the end of the day, we are in the recruiting process. Hey, this is what the expectations are, and you don't need to come here if you're not all in with that. All right, we're going to go to class. We're going to be great citizens. We're going to hold you accountable. Those type of things, and so it's pretty cool for me to see a bunch of really, really talented young people that really want that, and they're coming. A part of it. Isaiah Simmons came from Olathe, Kansas. He was my first guy out of Kansas. Christian Wilkins came from Connecticut. So we have to be smart. The big thing for us is the right fit, not the so-called highest rated player, but the best player in our eyes and the best fit for our program. And we always start inside out. We're always South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Maryland. That's our base. And then we try to scout out the best guys that fit our program from all over the country. mean, I don't know, and if it was, I wouldn't say it. You know, I'm sure they've done a great job. Listen, Coach O's been around. He's been around the block a lot. He's no rookie. So I'm sure that they'll be incredibly well prepared, just like we will be. Yeah, absolutely. No question. I admire any successful coach. I always, you know, I like to study people who are successful. And he's been incredibly successful. And I've followed him and known him a long time. And I've always pulled for him. He's an easy guy to pull for because he's a wear-it-on-your-sleeve guy. He's passionate. It's easy to recognize passion and enthusiasm. And he's got that oozing out of his veins. And you know, I have great respect for that. I think that he truly loves the players. I think he loves what he does, and you know, that resonates. I think with his team and with certainly his fan base and things like that. But I think he's a great football coach. He's done a wonderful job, and it's cool to see because you know I know he's had I know it didn't go well at Ole Miss. But I think he's a good example to a lot of people because we all fail. You know, we all fail to the world's terms. But, you know, I think it's a choice on whether you fail forward, you know, whether you're destroyed or defined by your failure or you're developed by it. And I think it's really cool to see somebody that, you know, people kind of label as can't do something or failed at something and yet he learned and grew and developed and stayed the course and got back up and went back to work and now to see him at this point, I think that's just what a great lesson, what a great living example he is for a lot of people, but certainly for his young players that he mentors every single day because he's a living, breathing example of, hey, listen, it's not always perfect. It's not always going to be the way you planned it, but how you going to respond? And when you make mistakes, when you do stupid stuff, does it define you, does it destroy you, or does it develop you? And I think that he's a great example of that. And, you know, he did a wonderful job out there at Southern Cal and probably still be there if they, you know, kept him. But, you know, they for whatever reason, he went in a different direction. And then, but, you know, I just think God orders our steps and brought him to LSU. And, I mean, I don't think you could have a better fit for LSU than Coach O. I mean, it just he truly loves where he is, and he loves his program, and he's passionate about it, and he's put a good staff together, and you can just tell that he cares about LSU and the people of Louisiana, and I think that's awesome, and he's a great story to follow for sure. Yeah, to be honest with you, I did not see it, so I can't comment on it. So, Joe Burrow, I don't know if there's anything I can say that hadn't already been said. I mean, he's special. He really is. I mean, it's just kind of, as I said, just as a coach, makes you sick watching the tape because he just rarely ever makes a mistake. He's always a step ahead. He knows exactly where to go with the ball. You got him sacked, and then you don't. He creates. He's just like this all the time. Even when you watch him, you know, one of the things I watch is he makes a big play in a huge game, in a critical moment, and he just jogs down the field, you know. So he's pretty special. To me, those are things that I look. If I was an NFL evaluator and I want to see how this guy, who he is, I mean, he's just like this all the time. And at that position, I think that's a special quality. No one? Yeah. Great story. I absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's like a son, but I do. I feel that same responsibility with all my guys, for sure, to hold them accountable, to teach them, to, give them the tools that they need to be successful in life. That's very important to me, and to just grow them up as men that are ready to go be great citizens in this world. And but certainly there's a special connection there with Nolan, obviously, and that was a great moment. It was a really cool moment. And the cool thing is, I told him right before, I was like, hey, man, you're going to have the game-winning interception. Get your dadgum head up. And it was kind of crazy how it all worked out. But, he didn't play very well. He had missed a couple plays. And so to see him come back and make that play at the end, really, literally, his feet were the exact same spot of his failure that we were just talking about on that touchdown on 4th and 1. The interception was in the same end zone, same spot, his feet, same gut receiver, and his feet are like right on the S in state. And it's just amazing how that worked out. People say that, but I've had a lot of turnover over the years. We've had a lot of peripheral staff turnover. I've had 3 different offensive coordinators in my 11 years. I've had just 2 different defensive coordinators. Brent's been with me 8 years now, and it's been awesome. I've got this is my I think I'm on my 5th defensive line guy. I've had a couple different DB coaches. I mean, we've had some change. I think the biggest thing is when we've had change, it's getting the right people in place. And then more important than anything is just the culture, just sustaining the culture and starting over every year, holding everyone accountable. And that's probably the biggest thing. And just, again, recruiting. Us coaches, we get way too much credit. You got to have players. And, we've done probably the other thing I would say is just the evaluation and the development of our players over the last decade. Because we've had one number 1 recruiting class in 11 years. And I think my highest might have been like 7th or something prior to that. So we pretty much have been in the top 15. But we've developed our guys, whether it be a Grady Jarrett, who's a 2-star recruit, who's now one of the highest paid D tackles in the league, a Hunter Renfro, who's a walk-on, who had a pretty good year for the Raiders this year, Adam Humphreys, who had 1 scholarship offer, who makes $9 million a year now, a Tyler Shatley, who's been with the Jaguars for 6 years, offensive lineman. That was a linebacker, fullback in high school. I just think we've done a nice job. And then we've had guys like Sammy Watkins, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, who were great players. Travis Etienne wasn't a really highly recruited guy, a 3-star guy. So we've evaluated, identified, and developed a lot of good players, and we've done it our way. We've done it simply through the draft, if you will, because we don't. I don't go out and sign grad transfers out of the portal. I don't sign junior college players. I've tried to bring freshmen in. That's how we've tried to do it. So when that's your philosophy, you got to be right. And so I think that's more than anything is just the consistency that we've had in our development and getting the most out of our players that we have had over the years. Oh man, listen, I don't get into all them awards that get voted on. I really don't. I mean, it's special for me to coach this team. It's special for me to coach these guys. I love competing against great competitors. So I don't. It's not special because he's the Heisman. It's special because he's a great competitor and he's on a great football team. That's special. And but yeah, I don't go, oh my goodness, that guy's the Thorpe Award winner or whatever. I don't get into all that stuff. Well, yeah. Same thing I saw in Adam Humphreys. I don't know why nobody offered Adam Humphries a scholarship. And when I offered him a scholarship, the media and fan base, people, beat me up. Oh, we're only offering him to get Sharon Peake, because he was a great player. And I'm like, no, this guy can play. And ended up playing as a true freshman. And like I said, makes $9 million a year for the Titans now. So I don't know why other people don't see certain things. Why was Deshaun Watson the 12th pick in the draft? I don't know. I can't answer that. Why was Tom Brady a 6th rounder? I don't know. Why was Grady Jarrett a 5th rounder? I don't know. I can't speak to that. Yeah, I just no. And to be quite honest with you, God worked that out, because we played in Arizona for the national championship at 15, and after the game, I had 4 guys come to me and tell me they were leaving early. I didn't know they were leaving early. And, I'm not one of these coaches that sits around and goes, okay, he's going to leave, and go sign all these guys. But what are you going to do if they stay? What do you do then? I'm going to tell you what you got to run people off, and that's not how we operate. So I assume everybody's coming back until they tell me different. And literally, right after the game, like the next day, T.J. Green, Travis Blanks, J. Ron Kearse, and Mackenzie Alexander said, Coach, I'm going pro. I'm like, okay. So we huddled up as a staff. I said, all right, we got 3 weeks. We better go find, or 2.5 weeks, we better go find some DBs. Because we're now in the DB business, because we weren't recruiting DBs. And the one guy I knew, we went and signed 4 guys. And the only guy I knew prior to that point, 2.5 weeks before signing day, senior year. That's why all this early recruiting stuff is so overrated. I love it when everybody's committing all them 10th graders. I'm going to get all them seniors that develop. So 2.5 weeks, I had never heard. I knew Trayvon Mullen. I'd never met him, but I knew who he was. He'd been a guy on our board, but I wasn't sure we were going to have a spot. And so, man, all of a sudden we got a spot for Trayvon Mullen. Well, we get him. He plays for the Raiders now. Started as a rookie this year. Was a great player for us. So Brent comes to me. He says, hey, I got a kid. Let's look at this guy. He goes, let's check him. So, all right, well, there's a whole process we have to go through. You can't just being a good player is like the smallest box to check for us. And we find this kid in Olathe, Kansas, kind of a gangly-looking dude named Isaiah Simmons. He played wide out and safety and just kind of roamed around, 3 deep, run around. And so Brent's like, I'm going to go check him out. And so he had 1 visit left. So we liked him. I went out and met with his family. He came in on his visit. He came to Clemson. Literally, I didn't know who he was 2 weeks before. Then midweek visit, the week before signing day, midweek visit, this guy, Brett, calls me and he goes, hey, there's this kid. I just found him. I want to bring him in this week. He's from Virginia. His name's Kayvon Wallace. He's a late bloomer, but he can do a lot of things. And I'm like, all right, well, let's bring him in. So checked out all of his stuff, grades, So Kayvon Wallace comes in. We get Kayvon Wallace. All right. And so I'm looking for another guy, and I had offered Nolan a walk-on spot the spring before, but I had not watched one play of his senior year. I had not one play. And I was like, just something, God just put it on my spirit. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull up Nolan. So I pulled up his huddle highlights, and I watched him, and I was like, I'm trying not to be biased, and I'm watching his tape, and he plays wide. I just watched Kayvon. I just watched Isaiah. And I'm watching this kid, and he's dominating at receiver and at DB, and you got to understand my connection, because I grew up in Pelham, and Vestavia was one of our rivals, and Buddy Anderson has been the head coach there for 50-something years. He was the head coach when I was playing. So I've known Buddy Anderson forever, and Vestavia High School has put out hundreds of Division I football players. All right, and so I played with some of them at Alabama. And so after I watched it, I called Buddy Anderson, and I said, Coach, I want to ask something. He had no idea why I was calling. I said, why is nobody recruiting Nolan Turner? And he just it was like I went, psh, and just, burst the bubble. And he was frustrated about it. And he said, Coach, I can't understand it. He's as good a player as I've had in my 50 years here. He said the kid can run. His best football's in front of him. He's a late bloomer, just like his dad was. And so I had all this working knowledge, and I played with KT, and KT was a late bloomer. And so I took the tape down there, I pulled it up down there with Brent, and I said, hey, I want you to tell me what you think about this kid. And so Brent watched him, and he's like, I love this guy. Where is he? You know, that's how Brent is. And I'm like, that's all I need to know. And so then I made a call, and I said, hey, I'm coming to see Nolan tomorrow. And so it was a pretty special moment. And so that's what I mean. When I say God worked it out, that just happened. And it wasn't some charity thing. People, some of these storylines that people put out there that, you know, Coach Sweeney did this because of his buddy. That all sounds good, but that's not reality. If I didn't have a spot, he wouldn't have got a scholarship. We had 4 guys leave, and we were looking for people, and he earned it. And then he's come in here, and he's and I told him early on. I said, man, let me tell you, here's what the story. Early on, you're not good enough. You shouldn't be here. We only signed you because Coach is friends with your daddy, whatever. I was like, man, you're gonna have to have some thick skin to rise above that. I'm telling you, you can play, and you're gonna be a great player. And I talked to him. I'm thankful that I have lots of examples like that. Guys that have come through our program, you know, similar deals, and so he's just done an amazing job. He's a great leader. The cool thing for me is because of what he went through with his dad, he was kind of a very quiet, reserved kid. And his dad and I actually talked about that. That was something KT worried a little bit about. And KT was like that. KT was kind of quiet and reserved until you got to know him. And Nolan, you know, for most of his childhood, you know, he just had it was a challenge seeing his dad the way he did. And so, you know, I think just for me, watching him develop as a man and seeing him, just the smile that he has, his confidence. Because I think early on, it's like he felt like he had all this to prove, and, you know, it's hard, especially in today's world with message boards and social media and all these things, these external pressures that get put on these young men. And so just watching him blossom and develop, smile. He's a great teammate. The players love him. And he's just an unbelievably hard worker. And he has bloomed and blossomed at Clemson and had a great career. He's had some big moments and going to be back next year. He's been an off and on starter for us this year. We kind of consider him a starter, but he's got a chance to really be one of the best leaders on our team next year.
We are on the move once again right here in your national championship game media day. The Clemson Tigers taking the center stage. They're about to wrap it up here in the next 10 minutes, and then hang with us, actually. Right after that, we'll have a 30-minute break, and then the LSU Tigers will take center stage. Let's talk about another coach who's proved a lot. Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator for Clemson, taking the stage. We're going to set up and talk to him next, right here.
If I was coaching that offense, just because I think he brings a whole other element in both the running and the passing game that really complements everybody else. Listen, I'm never in harm's way. I never had a penalty prior to coming to Clemson. I would be just fine, but he's doing a great job. He's doing a great job, actually probably keeping me from getting injured. Probably so. You'd have to ask him, but we put it in on game day for sure. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, well, look, I'll be honest. We're at the national championship. We're one of the best defenses in college football. He's been a big part of that. He was injured earlier this year, but I thought he's had a really good year to go along with us. So, there's no story there to me. Well, that's good. That's good. Certainly not. I don't want any of our guys to be satisfied. How can I get better? So that's a great attitude to have. Before we finish off with this game, then going into spring ball starting soon. So that's a great attitude to have, and excited to coach him next year. Yeah, it's as good as we've seen. Their ability to execute consistently, their precision that they operate both in the run game and the pass game, and at quarterback, his ability to improvise and extend plays and throw on the run and throw under duress. It's pretty special, and it's not a big surprise why he won the Heisman Trophy. He's had that kind of a year, got incredible respect for him. He's just got great poise and a great understanding of both their system and certainly what defenses are doing and where he needs to put the ball. Yeah, I know Dave well. He's had incredible success his whole career. Terrific football coach, great teacher, has a great understanding of not only defense but offense as well. And I think that's an important element to have as a defensive coordinator. And to me, the best compliment is his consistency of success is elite. And wherever he's gone, or from year in and year out, and you lose players, he's been able to continue to put a great unit out there every year. Well, I think he was at Tech at one time. We had played each other. I think he's out at Utah State as well. And then in the coaching profession, you try to find people that are doing things well, and you reach out to them. And we've seen each other on the recruiting trail and things of that nature. So talk ideas and system and things of that nature. Yeah. Hey, sometimes you know a lot about them, and they don't even know you're just studying them and watching them, because you can get video from everybody. So you're always looking at ways to get better and improve and continue to evolve. And Dave's been a great, example for all of us in this profession. Yeah. Yeah. No, I never. Just what you're doing right now. And it's really pretty remarkable, though. But again, a great example. From one year to the next doesn't have to define you, and with more experience, with a new system, and with some belief and hard work, what's possible. And that's really probably a byproduct of what you're seeing now. But again, they've been incredible all year. Been a lot of fun to watch as a college football fan that I am myself. Their ability to execute against really, really good people, good coaches, good players. They've had incredible success all year, and what a tough matchup, it is for us. Just when he transferred, heard about him, and of course I knew his dad when he was at Nebraska, a great player, and played, on some great defenses for Tom Osborne. Back when Coach Osborne was there at Nebraska, but he's got a great football lineage, and I just got incredible respect for him for having the courage and the boldness that it takes to leave your dream and go somewhere and start over, and just to have that belief. It's one thing I experienced. I went from Oklahoma to Clemson in my own way, and I know how hard it was for me as a whatever I was, 40 years old, to see a young person, 21, 22 years old doing that, and to go win the Heisman, man, that's a great story. Who doesn't love that? So I got a lot of respect for him. Yeah, we actually, when we recruited him, knowing that, again, he's going to be probably a safety type of guy, but we've always used the safety type for that position on our defense. And then this year, changing some things structurally, it was really just to try. We lost so much. We lost 6 linebackers and 6 defensive linemen at 12 guys in our 2 deep. So just trying to play to our strengths. And he was also a byproduct of that. And but it wasn't just him. It was really our strengths was our back unit. And then I really actually felt good about Jamie and Chad Smith. They hadn't ever started a college football game at linebacker, but they really were instinctive and knowledgeable players. A lot of people didn't really hear much about him going into the year, but we had a lot of confidence, in those two guys also, because there's got to be some connectivity between the front end and the back end, and those two guys were able to help us do that. How what? I don't know. I never asked him, hey, what do you think? Should we do this? I'll be honest. I'm sure I think he liked it. When we're doing some stuff, I think he loved putting the pressure on himself and knowing that he's at a playmaking position within the confines of the defense. No more important, though, than anybody else. He does have a unique skill set and some of the things that he can do, so, make no mistake about that. You don't just Chad Smith probably, and he does some things really well. He couldn't do some of the things Isaiah does, so I don't want to downplay that aspect of it whatsoever, because Isaiah's a very unique individual that also has football intelligence to go along with it, so that you can do some multiple things too. Yeah. I got a head coach that he doesn't give you the time in your staff meetings, in your position meetings, your segment meetings, or your time on the practice field. I'll be very honest. So when we first started practicing, you're looking at, an hour on the field, and part of that's special teams, and some of that's good on good against the offense. And then you got individual period, and then you got a little bit of team time, not much, and where you're working scout work. And so he's kind of progressed. He's a master at it in preparation, and knowing when to pull back and when to cancel a practice or cancel a meeting or shorten a meeting for something else. We do community service. He keeps our guys busy but engaged, hungry, excited. He wants them to have some fun, because it can too much, can be a bad thing. And for us coaches, for me, if you said, hey, you want 15 more minutes or you want 15 less minutes, I'm saying I'm signing up for 15 more all day. But he does a great job of pulling back and giving us just enough so that we don't have too much time. But that is a byproduct. That can be a byproduct of having, too much time. We've been going however long it's been since the end of July, and it's like 10 and 10 on the treadmill, and this is the longest season in the history of college football, and it feels like it sometimes, but it's been so much fun, and because it's been such a fun group of guys to coach. And again, Coach Sweeney just does an amazing job of managing us as a staff and managing the team the right way, so that he takes the pressure off. He demands that you have joy in the doing, and when you get so busy just having passion about what you're doing every day, it makes your job easier. The pressure and all that, it's not there. All right, yeah, thank you. That's a great question, and I had a year to probably think about it, to be honest with you. And so to me, I just wanted to make sure that I held them accountable like I hold every other guy accountable. I know your players are paying attention to that. So I wasn't going to change. I'm going to take my opportunities to love on him and encourage him. But I try to do that with all my guys. And I try to take moments when we're in the football facility, still be dad. And, maybe you stop by his apartment on the way home at 10:30 at night so you can catch up with him. He's in the middle of his grind. I'm in the middle of my grind. But you want to try to enjoy the journey together, because it's very unique and very special. It's Coach Sweeney. Yeah, it's Coach Sweeney. And it's important to him. You can't preach family and promote family, and you can't fabricate family. And so, he means what he says and says what he means, and, that's who we are. So it's really been, a very easy transition. I think that's a huge part, There's a lot of reasons, but when you work for incredible people that get it, that have the right perspective on life, that value the things that you value, and give you the autonomy that you do, that he does, and then we have the alignment administratively, and then a wonderful community like Clemson, where you got incredible support, where you can have a chance to win every week. It's a perfect combination.
One question. You got 3 defensive touchdowns this year. Can you tell me the 3 guys that scored them?
I'll be honest. I'm embarrassed to say I have no idea. Wait, hold on. Kayvon Wallace. I'm just Isaiah. Okay, Tanner Muse. I have no idea. DK. Yeah, was that Florida State? Yeah. Florida State. I don't know. Logan. That's right. Boston College. I don't know. I just a lot of things I remember. It's usually the bad plays. I just got a sickness that I can't overcome myself. I can't get on my own way. You asked me about the explosive plays we gave up. I remember all of them. Yeah.
And that's been your live look here in New Orleans of Media Day for the National Championship game, Clemson's portion of Media Day. Join us here in just about 20-25 minutes as LSU is about to take the stage. Come right back. We're going to have more right here coming up. The LSU Tigers getting ready for the Clemson Tigers. You just saw it right here live in New Orleans. I'm Brian Holland. We'll be back, like I said, here in just a few minutes with the LSU Tigers and National Championship Media Day.